Today on Locked On Phoenix Suns, 3 big surprises from the Phoenix Suns season so far. We're 1 week in. What is catching my eye that I was not expecting about this team? Let's go.
You are Locked On Suns, your daily Phoenix Suns podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back into Locked On Suns. I'm Brendon Kleen, a staff writer at Awful Announcing and a credentialed Suns media member. Thank you for making Locked On Suns your first listen here on this game day Thursday. Don't forget Locked On Suns is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. So click that follow or subscribe button and do what thousands of other Suns fans have already done. Become an everydayer and get locked onto the Phoenix Suns right here each and every day. Today's episode, guys, is brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook. Start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet and get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Surprise number 1. I'm cheating a little bit. Okay? Because what this guy's doing should not come as a shock to anybody. I'll talk a little bit about lineups. I'll talk a little bit about players. I'll talk a little bit about the big picture stats and kind of what this team just looks like. But we have to start with Kevin Durant. Okay? And again, like you're already sitting there thinking, what on earth is surprising about what Kevin Durant is doing? And I'm not here to tell you you should be shocked in a vacuum that KD is still a great player. Newsflash. Hall of Famer, still very good. But there's a few elements of this that I do think make his season, his start to the season, 4 games in, 1 week in, that much more impressive that I will admit to you, surprise me. Okay? So, off the top, Kevin Durant so far this season. 29, 7, and 3 with a steal and 2 blocks per game. 57% from 2, 46% from 3, 81% from the free throw line. I mean, one of the best players in the entire NBA to start the season. Okay? And within that, for all that we talked about adjustments and everything all season, one of the elements that I will count as a little bit of a surprise is how quickly Mike Budenholzer has unlocked KD and that KD has found a rhythm in this system, right? And maybe I'm only shocked because of how much it was not that way last season, right? You don't need me to tell you, but Kevin Durant was, for one, in a clogged paint with overmanned and just flat out underperforming role players around him. He was not really put in good momentum and good rhythm and good space to get to his spots, rise up and make a difference. Still, second team All-NBA, awesome season, whatever. But because of the way the roster was built, because of the way the coaching staff deployed him, because of the odd fit of some of the pieces, there were some high turnover games. There were some less than efficient games. There were some games where he was just asked to do more than any individual basketball player should ever have to do. And it was rocky to start, and it probably just wasn't the best position to put your franchise, one of your franchise cornerstone players in, one of your big 3 into, right? And this year, KD is immediately involved in every possession, right? The Suns get the ball up the court, whoever it is. We've talked plenty about Mike Budenholzer wants to play random. Well, within that randomness, right, there's always that kind of first action, right? Somebody sets a screen, somebody comes off of a screen. The defense just has to think, oftentimes switch, and Kevin Durant is an amazing switch initiator, a guy who makes the smaller player that he is targeting, you have to go with him. Some players, they want it. They try to get their positioning, stand this way, the timing's off, whatever, and it just wastes time. KD's not like that. So they're using him that way. He's executing that. And so often, the result of that first action or of the set overall is him with not a lot of defenders around him, space to work, and oftentimes a mismatch guarding him. And the thing about Kevin Durant is, I will tell you, he's getting to the rim more. He's getting to the free throw line more. It's only been 4 games, but compared to last year, his numbers in those categories are up. He's getting fouled on shots. He's getting to the basket. He's also getting to that floater range more often. We'll see if that continues, but the eye test matches that he's getting to his spots and getting easy shots at a really high level, and he doesn't need to get all the way to the rim. That's one of his superpowers, right? He doesn't need to go dunk it on somebody's head or get a clean layup in order to get a really high-quality shot. A high-quality shot for KD is a vaguely contested 12-footer. That's money, and he's getting those constantly, okay? The adjustment period for him has been non-existent. Watching him over the past week has been the best week as a Sun. I don't care what the numbers say. I'm not talking about total points or anything like that. I'm saying from a comfort and a rhythm standpoint, this week has been the best week. I've watched every game KD has played with the Suns. This week's been the best of his time in the Valley. The other part that I will tell you is a little bit surprising is the defense. Again, it almost sounds like an insult to say about a Hall of Famer that I'm surprised, but the dude still deserves kudos and credit for continuing to be a weapon on that end of the court. We saw him be somebody that the Suns deployed on James Harden. We've seen him guard LeBron James. We've seen him switch on almost every single player up and down the lineup of the opposing team throughout the season already. And we have seen KD against the Lakers on Monday night in the most recent game we saw be a complete force on the interior. I believe he had 4 blocks in that game. He was giving that effort as the last line of defense, knowing Nurk's out. He's, got his own stuff to deal with. I'm not used to playing with Plumlee. We're small a lot of this game. The Lakers are a big physical, forceful team. I got to give everything. And that guy as a rim protector, when he is put into position to do it and physically right, he picks his spots, which is understandable. Every older player does, even the best of the best, Draymond Green for that matter, or Rudy Gobert for that matter. These guys in their mid-30s, they got to do it. And when he does, he is a huge difference maker. But even when he's not flying around and he's just executing, he's still a great weapon to have. And so on the perimeter, on a switch, primary matchup, secondary matchup, helper, rim protector, he can do it all, and he's done it all this week. And I'm not shocked, but I'm surprised to see him keep that up, given his age and given how easy it would be to just settle into, I'm doing that in the playoffs. But he's not. And salute to Kevin Durant for that. Next, how 2 Suns wings that I was iffy on have stepped up and unlocked a whole new world of small ball for the Phoenix Suns. First, today's show brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more, all on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. I'm just going back to the Cardinals, guys. I will be there Sunday. Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears, fresh off of an agonizing last-second loss to the #2 overall pick and the Washington Commanders. The Cardinals are 1.5-point favorites at home. I'm going to be honest. I am ready to believe in the Cardinals to at least play their kind of game. That probably means it's going to be close, but I think that they should be favored by more than that at home. Now, FanDuel's offer is about winning your bet. So if I'm being reasonable with you, I say go to the NFL Sunday, find the biggest minus odds you can. That's, I think, Chiefs hosting the Bucs at home, and just ride that win and get to work next week on the Cardinals with 150 in bonus bets. That's what you should do. If your heart's telling you Cardinals, I get that. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Keeping the show rolling, don't forget to sign up for the Locked On Suns daily newsletter. Beat the Kings fans, beat the Lakers fans, beat the Clippers fans. Be the Pacific Division champions when it comes to Locked On daily newsletter signups. I'm writing something every day to give you a little taste of what we're talking about in the episode with some extra numbers and some extra details that maybe we didn't go deep in on the podcast. So if you want that, it'll be kind of about the same topic, but more in depth. We also have people writing national analysis, news links about the team and the league for you to keep up with that, all into your inbox every day around noon. So click that, or go to LockedOnDaily.com and click the Suns link and type your email in there, and you'll start getting that newsletter and show all these other fan bases what's what. Okay. Big surprise number 2. Royce O'Neal and Ryan Dunn stepping up, okay? I mean, judging from preseason, it probably isn't a shocker that Ryan Dunn's playing well. But let's rewind further than that. It is just flat out not common for rookies to do this, okay? That's it. I saw a stat going around from Tom Haberstroh of Yahoo today of how the leading scorer in this year's NBA draft class is Bub Carrington, who I did kind of like as a sleeper for Rookie of the Year because he's a point guard who chucks shots and he looked pretty good at Summer League, but he's averaging 8.6 points per game. There are just not a lot of standout rookies so far, and yet I look here, and Ryan Dunn is quietly 12th in minutes played among rookies already. He's just behind Dalton Knecht by 2 minutes, just behind Stephon Castle from the Spurs by 4 minutes. It's all clustered. He's not starting, but besides guys who are starting, he is up there with everybody. And for a player who we didn't even know if his jump shot was going to work out and got drafted 28th overall, we didn't know if he was going to be playable on offense in any way, shape, or form. I'm not necessarily going to sit here and tell you that when I look at 44% from 3 that I'm penciling that in all season. But we said 100 times in the preseason and over the summer, if he makes a third of his threes, he's going to be a difference maker. I don't see any reason why he can't do that. He's already gotten a start. The players feed off of him. Everybody in this organization believes in Ryan Dunn. And Bud will pump the brakes all he wants to not overstate the expectations for the rookie and throw expectations out of proportion. I get that. He's a difference maker, and we've already seen it. He has made this season he only needs 2 more threes to equal the total that he made at Virginia, okay? That's what we're talking about here. Not to mention the putback dunk, not to mention putting the clamps on everybody from Harden to Luka to LeBron. Royce O'Neal, on the other hand, has played 103 minutes for this team. And if you extrapolate that out per 100 possessions, which is about what he's at, a minute, let's say a minute is like 2 possessions, I guess, so maybe you double it. He's plus 63.5. The team outscores opponents by 64 points per 100 possessions so far this season when Royce O'Neal's on the court. Now, again, same thing that I just said about Ryan Dunn. I'm not going to sit here and tell you Ryan Dunn's going to approach 45% from 3. I'm also not going to sit here and tell you that every 100 possessions over the whole NBA season, that's going to be the impact that Royce O'Neal has. But you heard me be a little bit skeptical in preseason, heading into the year. What type of impact can Royce O'Neal have? I was even kind of overly harsh on him against the Clippers, if I'm being honest, because I just think Harden's probably not a great matchup for him. And whatever. I should shut up. I don't even need to rehash it because that was just flat out wrong. Royce O'Neal, I think he's been better on defense these 4 games than he was most of the regular season after the deadline when the Suns acquired him last year. He will kind of surprise you with his stinginess getting through screens. It's more about like the timing and the positioning. He's not going to slither and sprint through a screen like a 20-year-old Ryan Dunn will. But he just knows what the offensive player is going to do, and he stays attached somehow against all odds. He's a great ball mover. He's smart. He's streaky from 3. We know that, but he's going to make more than not, and most of them are wide open. So he's only at 33% to start the year, but I don't feel like if you're listening at home or watching at home, that number probably shocked you. I feel like you probably are sitting there thinking, oh, he's made like 40%. Because when he's open, you feel like it's going to go in, even if he can be streaky from time to time. He's not going to bomb on contested ones and be this volume guy sprinting around screens like he's prime Kyle Korver, but stand still, open. I feel good about it. He's been a great offensive rebounder. That has surprised me just since he got to Phoenix. I mean, even last season, but continuing to do that. And the numbers don't lie. What all of that has lined up, Dunn being playable on offense and then some, O'Neal improving upon last year and fitting with this group and this system and this kind of random hot potato type of style, is that it has unlocked small ball for this team in a way that I couldn't have predicted. Okay, I know you guys have heard me talk about small ball. You love to argue with me in the comments about if it's possible or if I should even care about it and all this sort of stuff. That's fine. It's undeniably been a plus. The Suns closed that way against the Clippers. They have played that way for portions of every single game. And when I look at some of these lineups, very small sample, but the most common small ball unit so far has been Royce, the big 3, and Tyus. Only 19 possessions, so minuscule, hardly anything to even try to measure here, but plus 88.4 points per 100 possessions. With Dunn and O'Neal both in, KD out, Beal, Booker, Jones, 9 possessions, also plus 88 per 100. Those are the 2 most common, but Mike Budenholzer has shown he's not afraid to push that button. We know the Suns need that as part of their identity. They had nothing once Cat was comfortable, Gobert was effective, and everything else that went wrong against Minnesota. They didn't have that unit that they felt confident in to throw a different kind of punch at the Wolves. They already have that. And that's partially because of Bud working on it, trusting it, knowing it's important, unlike Frank Vogel last season. But it is also would not have been possible without Ryan Dunn breaking out and without Royce O'Neal raising his game. I'm surprised again because I just was hurt last year. And I'm ready to buy this because I don't see either of those 2 guys falling off. We already know what KD can do in that type of rim protection, rebounding role like I laid out in that last segment. And from there, it's just get reps, tinker with different guys, and see if it can work against the best teams and the best opposing small ball lineups. Last but not least, the Suns are checking a lot of the statistical boxes and the style boxes to compete in the modern NBA that we spent all summer begging them to improve. Closing out the show, what were the things we talked about all summer? 3-point shooting, fourth quarters, pace, clutch, the margins, the place where the Suns just shot themselves in the foot game after game, night after night last season, right? So far this year, let's not count our chickens before they hatch here, but it's been fairly night and day. All right, let's start with pace. It's not top of the league by any means, okay? It isn't. I'm not going to lie to you. It is 21st. Seconds per shot attempt, okay? That's not what we necessarily expected. But when I look at, for instance, transition frequency in the NBA this season, the Suns are a little better at 15th. But they have added to their offensive efficiency the third best of any team by the combination of being efficient when they do score in transition and the frequency where they try to do it. The real hole for them right now is they're not running off of misses, but they've done a great job turning turnovers into buckets. So something to monitor, but at the very least, trending in the right direction, especially in that frequency where last year the Suns were much lower than that. Three-pointers. Three-point frequency this year. Boston, let me just say this because it's insane. More than half of Boston's attempts through the first week of the season have been threes. Good Lord. Whatever. I'm not going to hold that as the standard. But the good sign is the Suns are 10th. They're basically tied for 8th. It's like a four-way tie around 41%, 42%. That's great. That is exactly where they need to be. Now, one thing to keep an eye on the other hand, is they're dead last in rim frequency. So, we'll see how that trends. I think Beal will be a big part of that. I think maybe Dunn could be a part of that solution. Tyus continuing to be aggressive. Booker obviously doing the same. But this might just not be, and Nurkic getting benched and playing more small ball. Like, maybe this just isn't going to be a killer team around the basket in terms of layups and dunks. But what I will point out, kind of along these lines, is the Suns are, again, dominating teams by getting to the free throw line. Okay, so they are 5th in that category. So let's focus on that for a moment. That's kind of shot diet, offensive style. A lot of the stuff that they got wrong last year or just were never consistent with last year. Let's look at it as a sum. I threw a lot of numbers at you. The point is the Suns are taking more threes. They're converting their transition looks and trying to get out in transition more and continuing to be dominant where they were last year when it comes to free throws. Where they've been weak, which you would expect given Nurkic's problems and the players who have been consistently great, which is basically just Kevin Durant, and as a scorer, they're struggling with offensive rebounding and they're struggling with rim scoring. I'm surprised that the style has clicked so quickly. What I will be looking for is for that style to keep up and maybe balance out somewhere maybe between last year and this year, if I'm being honest, as they kind of get their lineup and rotation clicking into place. Just for notice, to keep up here, to keep track, the Suns have actually been winning on the defensive end of the court so far. So I don't want to ignore the defense. We'll probably have to zoom in on that more closely once they play more different types of teams. I mean, they've already played the Lakers twice. They're going to play the Clippers a second time. That's not a great way to measure the defense, but we will look at it. They're 6th in defense and 16th in offense right now. So we're talking about offense. Some of those weak points are actually making them a little bit closer to average, whereas the defense has been dominant. Conversation for a different day, but still honestly counts as a surprise, just maybe a little bit of a, not a negative surprise, but one thing I wasn't expecting was definitely that they were going to be winning games on the defensive end. Last but not least, kind of a fourth surprise, but we'll call it all part of this same thing of the Suns just cleaning up the margins. In clutch games and in fourth quarters overall, night and day. Okay? So far this season, the Suns are obviously 3-1 as a team. They are +9 in fourth quarters. Okay? +9. That's just total points versus total points. They're shooting 51% as a team, and they have 26 assists to just 13 turnovers. 2-1. That is miles better than what they were doing last year. I mean, in all those categories, they couldn't help but turn the ball over constantly. They were, let's see. I'm trying to find the pace in the fourth quarter, but I'll bring that up a different day. They're shooting the ball efficiently. They're not turning it over, and they're outscoring their opponent in these fourth quarters. They've also been one of the best clutch teams in the entire NBA. Okay? 2 clutch games so far. They've won them both, and they are plus 10 overall. So clutch is within 5 points in the last 5 minutes. So I believe that would include the Clippers game and the Mavs game. And they won them both. 53% from the field in those moments. 13 minutes. So think about that. I guess that would probably mean one of the other games included some clutch time, or maybe that's including some of overtime against the Clippers. I'm not exactly sure. They've gotten to the free throw line 17 times in 13 minutes. Now, some of that's the hacking and the late game ball and possession and time game that you have to play. And they at least are even when it comes to assists versus turnovers. If those things hold and the Suns can keep making shots, keep cleaning up the turnovers, keep playing with at least average normal pace rather than the snails that they were in the fourth quarter and late in games last year, they're just going to bank wins regardless of the other stuff because they're not beating themselves. It had to happen, but I'm surprised pleasantly that it has so quickly. We all just have to hope it continues. That'll wrap us up. Don't forget to sign up for the Locked On Suns daily newsletter. Click that link below or go to lockedondaily.com. Become the Pacific Division champions in newsletter signups. Support the show. Get caught up on your favorite team in your inbox every single Monday through Friday around midday. My writing, national writing, news and links from around the whole league. Keep up with the show all in one place. Enjoy your Thursday. Ben and I will be back. My schedule problem on Wednesday, guys, for the Thursday episode. So if you're wondering why I'm solo, it's because I'm taking my wife out for dinner. Ben is being a regular person and working and getting things done, and I'm squandering our plans. It'll be us again, though, right after the buzzer, Halloween night against the Clippers as the Suns look to go to 2-0 against the Clippers 1 week into the season and keep all these surprises up. Enjoy the game. We'll talk to you right afterward.